getting at least 6 people shot. This all happening at 65th and King Drive in Parkway Gardens.
The Parkway Gardens.
Parkway Gardens.
Parkway Gardens.
Now, Chicago is one of the most influential cities when it comes to drill music. The city founded the genre in the early 2010s. The genre mainly hailed from the Parkway Gardens housing complex, which also is referred to as OBlock. Early drill artists included Chief Keef, L.A. Capone, and Lil Reese, with these rappers rapping about the violent streets and deadly gang war that they had become used to around these rough neighborhoods within Chicago. However, in order to talk about the music scene, we have to talk about the dangerous rivalry within the area that has caused dozens of people to die, with one of the most feared gangs emerging, this being known as Get Back Gang, who would go on to kill multiple people within a few months, vowing to avenge their fallen friend. Now, the street gang based around Parkway Gardens would be known as Wick City. The gang is a set of black disciples, which is an older gang. The Wick City gang would rename to OBlock, following the deadly shooting of a member known as Odie Perry, who was gunned down outside of Parkway Gardens. OBlock has heavy beef with nearby STL EBT, with this beef getting deadly. However, I won't be discussing this beef, but instead the beef that Get Back Gang had with another gang known as Tyquan World, with Get Back Gang being an offshoot set from the OBlock gang. This set being created after the death of a loved member of OBlock known as T.Roy, who was a well-known shooter and killer in Chicago. Now, Tyquan World is a street gang based around 61st and Eberhard, as well as 62nd and Vernon within Chicago. The Tyquan World gang is a set of gangster disciples, with this gang being allied with STL EBT, this gang beefing OBlock and other black disciple gangs. The original members of Tyquan World would be a part of a different gang, this being known as Jaro City. However, the death of a loved Jaro City member would result in members of Jaro City creating the gang Tyquan World, which became more prominent within the streets of Chicago. On the 24th of June 2012, a member affiliated with Jaro City, known as Tyquan Tyler, would be at a party with other Jaro City members being in attendance. A fight would occur at the party. This involved 2 Jaro City members known as Nate and Lil Wayne. The 2 members would leave the fight and walk down an alleyway. The members would spot Tyquan, who was standing with friends. Nate would end up shooting toward Tyquan, who would be hit in the chest. Tyquan would collapse onto the sidewalk and would be pronounced dead moments later. With a murder investigation being launched, both Nate and Lil Wayne would be arrested in connection to the murder. Nate would also be snitched on by Lil Wayne in this case. However, in the end, Nate would be sentenced to life in prison, receiving 55 years, with his release date being sometime in 2068, whilst Lil Wayne only received 7 years. Rest in peace, Tyquan. Following the death of Tyquan, members of Jaro City would create another set, this being referred to as Tyquan World, or TW. Now, this gang continued their previous beef and affiliation. The Tyquan World gang was affiliated with Jaro City, STL, EBT, and Marcus Way, with the Tyquan World gang beefing OBlock, 600 and Front Street. However, it would be around 2017 that Tyquan World and an offshoot set from OBlock would begin to have a heavy beef, this being Get Back Gang, which similarly to Tyquan World, was formed following the death of a loved member of OBlock known as T.Roy, who allegedly, according to the internet, had around 8 or 9 bodies within the streets, before then going on to lose his life, resulting in multiple members of OBlock vowing to kill any rival that disrespected T.Roy, or had something to do with his death. This led to a murderous rampage that swept through the streets of Chicago. On the 14th of February 2017, T.Roy, who was a prominent member of OBlock, and was in fact King Von's best friend. Anyways, T.Roy and an unknown friend would walk into a convenience store on East 71st Street. Upon entering the store, a member of Tyquan World known as TB and a member associated with Tyquan World and STL, known as CGR or Can't Get Right, would shortly follow T.Roy into the shop. TB from Tyquan World would slowly approach T.Roy. He would then point his handgun and shoot T.Roy in the chest. T.Roy would drop to the floor and would begin to scramble around, with the 2 killers fleeing shortly after the shooting. T.Roy would be rushed to hospital following the shooting, but would sadly be pronounced dead moments later. King Von would receive this news in jail, with King Von showing love to T.Roy in songs in the years following his death.
I'm T.Roy, got shot. Look, this is the thing, y'all don't know T.Roy. Y'all gotta leave our history of T.Roy, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know T.Roy like I know T.Roy, you see what I'm saying? So when I hear he gets shot on, the fuck he don't want to talk me like don't be lacking, don't be, you know? He was on me.
It would be days following the death of T.Roy that members from 600 and OBlock would create a set in his memory, this gang being referred to as Get Back Gang, which was made in order to kill everyone that was involved in his murder, with this gang being responsible for over 8 murders in the months following T.Roy's death. One of the reasons that members vowed to avenge T.Roy so much was the fact that he was one of OBlock's top shooters, with it being alleged that him and King Von would often catch and kill ops from nearby rival blocks like STL. However, I won't be discussing that beef within this video, but if you would like a video on that, let me know in the comments. It's also known that T.Roy had a little brother known as HK, or Headshot King, who would become one of the main members of Get Back Gang, as he wanted to avenge his fallen brother, with HK starting to get seriously involved in the street life around this time, catching 4 bodies in 4 months. And it would be around May 2017 that Get Back Gang members would get their first get back for T.Roy. Members of GBG would be on the lurk for ops. The members would actually catch a member of Jaro City known as Lil Ho, shooting him dead in the streets, and then only a week later, the same members would catch another rival member known as Jamo, who would then be shot dead, with a member of Get Back Gang and 600 known as McAdoo being arrested after he was found with the gun used in both murders. All of these Get Back killings within the streets of Chicago would prompt O-Block members like E-Dog to taunt their ops on social media, with E-Dog posting on Twitter saying, "Summer 2K17, lot of Get Back Gang. Shit bout to be going on." It would also be around this time that HK would begin to get active in the streets, and it would be on the 16th of June 2017 that HK would catch his first known body, with him even starting to be referred to as Headshot King. On the 16th of June 2017, an 18-year-old member of Tyquan World known as Poppie would be standing outside the 7000 block of South Sat Street. Poppie had actually become a target for Get Back Gang's deadly rampage, as he had actually made a song with TB, who was T.Roy's killer months earlier, with the members dissing O-Block members heavily. Anyways, at around 3:10 p.m., a dark-colored vehicle would approach. This vehicle containing Get Back Gang members from 600 and O-Block. A masked attacker would exit the vehicle shooting Poppie in the head, with this member allegedly being HK, who would start to go by Headshot King around this time. The attackers would flee following this murder, and paramedics would arrive shortly after. Poppie would be rushed to Stroger Hospital. However, he would be pronounced dead 3 hours later, with crime scene footage even emerging on the internet. However, this is way too graphic to show on YouTube. Rest in peace, Poppie. The death of Poppie would mark one of Get Back Gang's first bodies in avenge of T.Roy. However, the members in this gang wouldn't stop at just Poppie, and it would be only 10 days later that 2 girls would be shot dead, with both of them being alleged affiliates of the gang MOB. On the 28th of June 2017, members of Get Back Gang would be lurking for ops. It's known that a member of GBG known as McAdoo was present, as he was one of Get Back Gang's top shooters. Anyways, the members would spot 2 alleged affiliates of MOB, which is a gang that has beef with OBlock, and is somewhat affiliated with Tyquan World and STL EBT. The members, Lil Scud and McAdoo, would spot 2 female affiliates of this gang known as Nana and WhiteGurl, who would both be at a red light in an SUV. McAdoo and Lil Scud would jump out of their car and would run up to the 2 girls, with McAdoo firing 14 shots at the driver's seat, instantly killing Nana, and Lil Scud shooting 8 shots at the passenger seat, killing WhiteGurl on the scene. The 2 Get Back Gang members would then get back into the car that they had arrived on the scene in and would flee, with police launching a murder investigation shortly after the attack. Both McAdoo and Lil Scud would be arrested and charged for the murders, with McAdoo and Lil Scud being found guilty. Lil Scud would be given 26 years, which was 2 13-year consecutive sentences. McAdoo was also being convicted, however was caught up in so many different murders that it's hard to find if he was sentenced or not, but what is known is that McAdoo would die in jail in 2023 after his deadly getbacks for T.Roy. Now, after the death of both Nana and WhiteGurl, Get Back Gang members would seek retaliation on every op block they had and would regularly slide on rival territory looking for ops, with the members' main goal being to find the killers of T.Roy months prior, this being TB from Tyquan World and Can't Get Right from STL EBT. So it wouldn't come as a surprise that on the 17th of July 2017, members of Get Back Gang would slide onto STL EBT territory and shoot dead 2 rivals, with one of the members being shot in the head, this once again being courtesy of HK, or Headshot King, who by this point had made it his goal to avenge his fallen brother T.Roy by killing any rival members. It would be around July 2017 that a member associated with STL known as FBG Brick, who was actually FBG Duck's older brother, would begin to post up with TB from Tyquan World, who was the killer of T.Roy, with Chicago drill fans even starting to speculate that FBG Brick played a big part in the murder of T.Roy, being alleged that he had given the drop on T.Roy to TB and Can't Get Right, with Brick then following up and dissing T.Roy on Instagram lives after his death. However, all of this reckless behavior on social media would lead members of Get Back Gang to begin to keep an eye on FBG Brick, and on the 17th of July 2017, HK would strike once again, killing FBG Brick and his cousin Coby Mack. July 17, 2017 started as any other day in Chicago. During the weekend prior to the 17th of July, which was a Monday, an FBG member known as Jermaine Robinson, or FBG Brick, would travel to Chicago from Las Vegas for his son's baby shower. FBG Brick would receive a call on the 17th of July that invited him and his cousin Coby Mack to go and visit the gravesite of their fallen friend Tuka, who was a member of STL-EBT that was killed in 2011. Once both Coby Mack and FBG Brick would arrive, they would sit on a porch that was just up the street from the gravesite and would wait for other friends to attend. At around 2:50 p.m., a peculiar white SUV would drive down the street, and upon reaching the two men, a masked gunman would hop out of the car and would shoot Coby Mack dead. FBG Brick would then begin to run down the side of the home, before then also being shot dead by the attacker. The shooter would then return to the SUV before making an escape, with both men dying on the scene only a few moments later. The news that a double murder had taken place would quickly spread, with members like Mimo600, who previously had a Twitter back and forth with FBG Brick, would start to celebrate. Pictures and videos would also be released following the death of FBG Brick and Coby Mack. These depicted Mama Duck and FBG Duck on the scene, crying upon the discovery that two members of their family had died. It would also be around 5 days after the double murder that E-Dog, who was a part of Get Back Gang, would tweet saying that it was going to be a cold-ass summer, alluding to the fact that Get Back Gang was going to avenge their fallen friends and wouldn't stop until they were dead. Police would be scrambling for any information on the double murder, as witnesses were too scared to say anything due to the gang presence. Chirac viewers would then be quick to come up with their own theories on who the gunman was, with it being an accepted idea that the killer of FBG Brick and Coby Mack was in fact HK, or Headshot King, who had killed once again in order to avenge his brother and had seemingly gotten away with it. Now, the Get Back Gang members would continue to seek rivals, but were still looking to kill one man, this being TB, or Terry Barry from Tyquan World, as he was the killer of T.Roy. TB knew that Get Back Gang wanted to kill him, and it would be around the beginning of September 2017 that TB would release music onto YouTube. In one of these songs, TB would rap the following lyrics: "My killer kill killers, so don't send your top killer at me." This becoming eerie when you come to learn that TB would be shot dead only 20 days later. Throughout September 2017, TB would post frequently on Twitter. On the 22nd of September 2017, only 4 days before his death, TB would tweet, "Me out of character," meaning somebody gotta go. 2 days following this, TB would post a picture captioned, "So tired of this hating shit." 48 hours later, on the 26th of September 2017, TB would post his last tweet, where he wrote, "2 blocks away, I ain't ever see Boss Top." Boss Top being an OBlock member who is still in fact alive today, and it would only be hours after TB's last tweet that he would become victim to the streets, and HK allegedly catching his fourth body as a retaliation for his blood brother T.Roy, with video even emerging showing HK sliding and looking for TB in the days prior to his death, which just shows how much of a target TB had on his back, with TB appearing to ignore the warning signs. On the 26th of September 2017, HK from Get Back Gang would seemingly gain access to TB's location, with a post even being shared to Chicago Drill subreddit, showing that HK would text Lil D and would gain access to his whereabouts. And it would be around 12 p.m. on this Tuesday that members of Get Back Gang would travel from their block to the 7000 block of South Chapel Avenue, which was around a 10-minute drive. The members would spot TB, who would be standing with a member of Jaro City known as Side. HK would jump out of the car and would shoot Side. HK would then turn his attention to TB, with it even being alleged that TB would smile at HK and would say, "You got me," before HK would empty an entire magazine into TB. TB would be pronounced dead on the scene, while Side would go on to make a recovery. This would be the fourth body linked to HK, who would go on to post on Twitter following the murder with a fellow Get Back Gang member known as McAdoo, who was also allegedly present and was one of the killers. The two GBG members would post a picture together captioned "Doggies," and only days later McAdoo would post about a party, this supposedly being a celebration of the fact that TB had now been killed. TB would also start to be publicly referred to as T.Roy Slayer by his friends following his death, with the public now receiving full closure on who actually killed T.Roy. Boss Top would also retweet TB's last tweet years after the murder and would caption the post, "Damn lil folks, you begged for your shit." HK would be very feared in the Chicago streets around this time, coining the menacing name Headshot King, as he had allegedly killed around 4 people in a 4-month time period, with him often shooting his rivals in the head. However, what no one was expecting was that only 2 months after the death of TB, HK would fall victim to the streets, but not as a result of the gang rivalry. On the 24th of November 2017, both McAdoo and HK would be at a tower block within Parkway Gardens. The members would travel upstairs within the building. The two members would spot a man who was visiting OBlock. This man would be wearing gold chains and other designer brands. Both HK and McAdoo would attempt to rob him, with the two intimidating him by showing a gun they both had on them at the time. The man would run into a room within the tower complex, before shutting the door and screaming, "I don't gangbang." The man would then retrieve his gun that he had a license for, and would then shoot HK twice. HK would be hit in his abdomen and thigh. McAdoo would then attempt to rush HK to safety, before then allegedly leaving HK for dead and fleeing himself. HK would be rushed to hospital, however would be pronounced dead only a few hours later, with the man that killed HK being arrested shortly after and being interviewed by police. The shooter would eventually be let free, this being due to self-defense, this just being another violent incident that did not need to happen. Following the death of HK, or Headshot King, members of Get Back Gang would seemingly go quiet for a few months, with King Von later being released in December 2017 after beating a murder charge, with his co-defendant Big Mike being sentenced to 28 years, as he was going to snitch on King Von before changing his mind. Around 2018, King Von would sign to Lil Durk's label OTF, or Only the Family, with King Von beginning to drop music around this time. An example of this would be Beat That Body, which gained loads of attention within the streets and featured THF Zoo, who also in fact beat a body. This song gained around 12 million views and shined a spotlight onto King Von, whose rap career would just be starting. STL EBT members would also be making a noise within the drill scene. An example of this would be Wooski, who would drop a remix to the popular Bobby Shmurda song, Computers. This song would be extremely rude and would feature disses to dozens of dead rival members. Computers would actually gain around 37 million views. Some bars include, "HK got caught trying to pump fake, and Foe got on his heels," which referenced the death of HK. He also raps about both TB and Poppie, who had both become a victim to Get Back Gang's deadly rampage, with him rapping, "And for TB and Poppie, bitch, we on a hunt, two niggas died the same month." However, it would appear that Get Back Gang members would still be seeking retaliation for T.Roy, and they would be looking for one person in particular, this being Can't Get Right, who was the other man present with TB at the T.Roy murder, and was actually Wooski's partner in crime. The GBG members would spend months looking for him, and in June 2018, they would finally find Can't Get Right. At around 9 p.m. on the 15th of June 2018, Can't Get Right would be waiting for food within EBT territory, which is actually very close to GBG's block, being Parkway Gardens. An unknown car would seemingly drive past Can't Get Right. The car would come to a stop, and two shooters would exit the car. Can't Get Right would notice this. The shooters would shoot him once, with Can't Get Right then making an attempt to flee. However, he would be shot a few more times before then falling to the ground, with it even being reported that the two shooters would stand over him and shoot him more times. The shooters would then also kill an innocent janitor, who was doing his job at the time of the murder, with this entire incident being caught on CCTV. Whilst it's unknown who actually killed Can't Get Right, many different theories fly around the internet, with some people claiming 051 Melly was the killer, although this is just a theory. Following the murder, a prominent member of Get Back Gang known as E-Dog would post a picture on Twitter with the caption, "Yo ass better get right or get left." As a result of the death of Can't Get Right, more incidents would begin to occur within the streets of Chicago, and it would be around October 2018 that a prominent member of STL EBT would nearly die after being shot in the head, with this being one of the most infamous incidents between the gangs. Around October 2018, Wooski, who was a prominent member of STL EBT, would be attending Dooski's funeral, with these two members actually having a song together titled Shootaz, which gained around 4.5 million views. Anyways, during the funeral, multiple cars containing Get Back Gang members would arrive. The members would exit the cars and would begin to shoot at anyone in attendance. Wooski would begin to shoot back, but would be hit in the head during the attack. It was also alleged that 051 Melly was present shooting at the GBG members. The GBG members would seemingly flee following the shooting, with Wooski being rushed to hospital, and in a very rare event, Wooski would actually go on to make a recovery, surviving the attack. However, he would be significantly impacted, with it being said that he has experienced cognitive impairment since the shooting. Following this shooting, members of OBlock would go on to mock Wooski, with King Von referring to the incident in his extremely successful song Back Again, rapping, "At your funeral I might just slide. Rest in peace, shoot up everybody that's outside. Bet Wooski feel this one. I bet Wooski's still twitching. He changed something different." This being a reference to how Wooski has been impacted following the shooting. After the death of Can't Get Right, it would appear that Get Back Gang's deadly rampage had come to an end, with the gang claiming 7 lives from February 2017 to June 2018, causing a violent feud between Tyquan World and Get Back Gang. It's also important to note that King Von and FBG Duck would both be killed in 2020, with King Von being killed by Lil Tim, who was close with NBA Youngboy, and FBG Duck being killed by OBlock members. Now, if anything, the influence that Get Back Gang had on Chicago and other countries was huge, with gangs in the United Kingdom even claiming the name Get Back Gang, an example of this being 150, who I actually have a video on. In a recent King Von song, released just before his murder titled Back Again, they would actually pay tribute to both HK and T.Roy, rapping, "Long live baby boy, T.Roy, can't forget heck." This was actually the song that the entirety of OBlock sung following King Von's death during his memorial. If you have learned anything from this video, make sure it's to stay out of the streets, as this life only ever leads to jail or death. And when you're from a place like Parkway Gardens, it's very easy to see the gang life as the only life to live, with the young members that I spoke about often being born into these rough areas, and thinking that it's normal to spin on ops. Rest in peace everyone in this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe.